Now to the hacked water systems identified in New Jersey after similar cyber attacks hit water utilities in more than a dozen other states. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky has been tracking this story for us. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, Michael. New Jersey had come forward to say 2 municipal water systems in the state were hacked. Now we know which ones. The city of Cape May and the borough of Woodbine said their water systems were compromised last week, but with no impact on the flow or safety of public drinking water. The first sign came last Monday at 1:30 in the morning when the City of Cape May Water and Sewer Department received an alarm that communications were lost to a remote monitoring system. It took about 12 hours to determine this was a cyber attack and another 24 hours to resume normal operations. It occurred in peak summer when the population in the South Jersey beach haven swells tenfold, but officials insist the hack did not interfere with water quality or supply. Similar hacks have hit water utilities in more than a dozen other states. Iran remains the prime suspect, though it's unclear whether the goal is harm or fear. Either way, Rebecca, these cyber attacks have our attention.
Yes, they certainly do. Thank you, Aaron. We're going to go now to the major disruption in air travel. Flights grounded or diverted across 9 states after an outage at a major air traffic control facility shut down radar and air traffic control frequencies. The FAA is investigating, and Alex Perez is at Chicago O'Hare International Airport with the latest. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Rebecca. In all, that outage lasted about 2 hours and 6 minutes, but the impact was felt long after that as a huge portion of Midwest airspace was completely shut down.
This morning, the FAA investigating a system outage that shut down airspace over several states, disrupting hundreds of flights.
What's going on with the airspace?
Center is shut down, completely shut down.
Flights across 9 states grounded or forced to divert, including all planes heading into or departing from Minnesota.
Ground stop for all departures out of Minneapolis currently.
The outage occurring at a major facility in Minneapolis that handles air traffic across 330,000 square miles, impacting radars and control frequencies. This map, with that wide opening in the center, showing just how few flights were operating in that area during the outage.
And the impacted airspace is back open. The FAA says the exact cause of the outage remains under investigation. Michael?
All right, thank you so much for that, Alex. We're going to turn now to the deadly school shooting overnight. A scary situation in Thailand. Videos emerging this morning. Our foreign correspondent, Britt Clinton, is tracking the latest developments. Good morning, Britt.
Hey, Michael. Yeah, horrific scenes out of Thailand this morning. Children running for their lives as a teenage boy opens fire on his classmates and teachers. At least 7 people killed, including the suspected shooter. 15 people are injured, 2 in critical condition. Chilling video circulating online showing students huddled together under their desks, terrified, reaching for each other as gunshots ring out. Thai police say the suspect killed his grandparents at home before going on this rampage at his school on the outskirts of Bangkok. Authorities saying he used a 9mm handgun belonging to his grandfather. This is the second deadly school shooting in Thailand this year, now renewing calls for tighter gun control. George?
Okay, Britt, thanks very much. To turn now to the dangerous heat. Heat advisories have expanded in the northeast and temperatures soar above 100 in the west. Ginger has the latest on that.
Those heat advisories are all about the humidity part of it. That's what makes it dangerous. And when you have it this hot and humid, it's very easy to spark a thunderstorm, which we will see potentially tonight from parts of New York City down to Washington, D.C. But just ask Forest Acres, South Carolina, close to Columbia there. They had numerous water rescues. Almost 3 inches of rain fell really fast. So today, you're in a level 2 out of 5 from Baltimore and Washington, D.C. through the northern part of Delaware, southwestern New Jersey, right up to New York City, into the Hudson Valley. That means that you could see damaging wind in excess of 60 miles per hour. These types of storms come through quick. It can be sunny right before, then trees and power lines come down. So please watch that. Then the heat, yes, and humidity, which we are seeing those heat advisories. Philadelphia could feel like 102, Boston up to Bangor, Maine, up into the 90s. Rebecca, we're going to stick with this through most of the weekend.
And it is sticky out there. All right, Ginger, thank you. We're going to go now to the reports that the U.S. is facing a critical shortage of missiles, with the Iran war now stretching into its 6th month. President Trump pushing back. Our senior political correspondent Rachel Scott is at the White House with more. Good morning, Rachel.
Rebecca, good morning to you. And there is growing concern for both Democrats and Republicans about the impact this war in Iran is having on the nation's dwindling supply of munitions. But this morning, the president is dismissing those concerns. With the Iran war now stretching into its 6th month, President Trump dismissing reports that the U.S. is running low on munitions.
We have certain types of munitions that are very powerful, that we have virtual unlimited supply. We have others where it's a little bit tighter, and we're getting them in on a daily basis.
But sources tell ABC News the president has voiced concerns when he met with his cabinet at Camp David last week. According to one estimate, the war has used up 2/3 of America's Patriot missiles and more than a half of its long-range missile interceptors. Sources tell ABC News the president backed away from his latest major threat against Iran, in part after his top advisors warned about the potential impact a major escalation would have on the interceptor stockpile. Iran mocking the president for repeatedly abandoning his threats. The regime's top negotiator calling it theater diplomacy on loop and a failed strategy. The president acknowledging he'd like more missiles.
With that being said, we always want more. We have to have more.
But each of those Patriot missiles are assembled nearly entirely by hand and take years to make, costing about $4 million each. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the U.S. has all it needs.
Our stockpiles are great, and they'll only get stronger.
But even some Republicans on the Hill expressing concern.
Well, the reports are concerning, and obviously that's why we need to do more to make sure that our military has the funding it needs.
And Democrats sounding the alarm, too.
The challenge is replacing them and transitioning towards less expensive, larger volume, easier to make munitions. We're not making that progress fast enough.
So the war has already cost about $37 billion. The Trump administration is asking for another $67 billion from Congress. And we talk about how much money it is to make those Patriot missiles, nearly $4 million each. We'll compare that to how much it takes to make an Iranian drone. That's about $35,000 each, George. So quite a difference.
Yeah, this asymmetry is something. And Rachel, Supreme Court rejected President Trump's attempts to restrict birthright citizenship. He's trying again.
Yeah, he is trying again. This is the president's second attempt now to try to restrict birthright citizenship, which is protected under the 14th Amendment. That first one was knocked down by the Supreme Court, as you mentioned. These next two orders now are aimed at limiting who is eligible for U.S. citizenship here in the U.S. and also aimed at trying to restrict people coming here to the United States solely for the reason of giving birth. Now, both of these, of course, are expected to face legal challenges, George.
Okay, Rachel, thanks very much. Now to a new report finding that Elon Musk and his team at DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, made vastly inflated savings claims that didn't stand up to scrutiny. Jay O'Brien is in Washington with the story. Good morning, Jay.
George, good morning to you. A new government report found that Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, vastly inflated how much money it claimed to save taxpayers in the early months of President Trump's second term. The review from the Government Accountability Office, a nonpartisan independent agency that produces reports for Congress, found that DOGE's claim, it was emblazoned on their website, that it saved $110 billion in taxpayer money, largely couldn't be verified, and said DOGE was not transparent about where that number came from. In one example, the GAO found that DOGE couldn't provide information for 96% of purported savings from canceled federal contracts. And the review also found that more than 2,500 of the contracts DOGE touted as having canceled were never truly terminated. But DOGE still upended the lives of federal workers. More than 300,000 were either fired or opted to leave across all corners of the federal government, George.
Yeah, so much disruption, so little savings. On another front, you have a new development in the confirmation fight for Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
That's right, George. Just this morning, Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski saying she will oppose Blanche's nomination, writing that the Trump administration has accelerated the weaponization of the Justice Department. She's now the second Republican senator to publicly come out against Blanche after Maine's Susan Collins. If both of them vote no, Blanche couldn't afford to lose any more Republicans. His fate is now in the hands of Louisiana's Bill Cassidy, who's indicated he's on the fence, too. Trump helped defeat Cassidy in a primary earlier this year. The Senate could start voting as soon as today. George.
Jay O'Brien, thanks, Michael.
All right, thank you, George. We're going to go now to the two foodborne illnesses sickening thousands of Americans across the country. Health officials still trying to pinpoint all of the possible sources. Larry, you're here with that.
Good morning, Michael. Several national restaurant chains use the jalapenos tied to that salmonella outbreak. People in several states getting sick as the spread of these foodborne illnesses is raising serious concerns about the safety of our food supply. This morning, a growing list of restaurants pulling jalapenos linked to salmonella from their menus.
Salad chain Sweetgreen joining Chipotle and Qdoba, saying they proactively removed the possibly tainted peppers. FDA tracing the outbreak that has sickened 375 people across 27 states to jalapenos from Mexico, supplied by Coast Citrus Distributors, which sent the jalapenos to restaurants and food service companies nationwide, but not to grocery stores. Now a Minnesota woman is suing Chipotle, claiming 3 days after she ate a burrito bowl, she lost consciousness and her temperature reached 102 degrees. She says she was diagnosed with sepsis from salmonella complications. Chipotle has not commented.
The CDC says it requested additional funding in the federal budget for food safety and has a dedicated team now supporting the outbreak response, working closely with the FDA and state health departments. And there are some positive signs on cyclosporiasis. Cases in the epicenter of Michigan, they're leveling off, and health officials there say eating bagged lettuce is now safe with the contaminated products off the market, guys.
Yeah, okay, wash
Scary
it, pat it dry, but it is scary stuff. Lara, thank you. We're gonna go now to one young man's incredible journey from working at a Wendy's to Yale, thanks in large part to the bosses who saw his potential. Sam, I love this story. Good morning.
It's a great story, Rebecca. Good morning. All right, continuing your education takes money, ambition, and planning, and sometimes achieving your goals takes even more. It takes people seeing you and believing in you.
This morning, Wendy's, investing in young talent and serving up the ultimate success story. Phyllis D'Souza worked at a Massachusetts restaurant while in high school to help make ends meet until graduation.
I thought if I go to construction, I can work hard, make money, and eventually go to college.
But his bosses had another idea.
I said, okay, you need to work hard, but if you stay with us at Wendy's, we will make sure you'll be able to go to college. So just work hard, and for every hour you work, we're going to put money aside for your college education.
D'Souza eventually earning enough money to pay for community college.
We saw a bright future in him, and so we wanted to help in any way we can.
And after thriving there, next stop, Yale.
I just couldn't control the emotions, right? And it was worth it. Every single night that I slept at 3 a.m. to do a homework, it was worth it every second.
The work that he's done, and he deserves everything. This is his success story.
It changed my whole perspective about life and about what I could actually do because someone believed in me.
Friday inspiration. All right. D'Souza says he will major in political science with a minor in human rights, and eventually he wants to be a lawyer and maybe even later a public servant.
That is awesome.
It's a great story.
It's amazing.
He worked hard and they saw it, and that's the big part of it too.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So good.